Clinical, measured. We are initiating a forensic review of the Class V containment protocols regarding the First Age anomalies. Historical and mythological records frequently misclassify the primary subjects of this review as the Great Jewels, or the Silmarils. This decorative terminology has severely compromised our understanding of their actual threat profile. Under strict modern operational parameters, these three artifacts are officially classified as Class V unshielded energy emitters. Their physical composition consists of highly condensed, hyperdense plasma rather than mineral or gem structure. Unauthorized biological contact with this field results in instantaneous, catastrophic cellular destruction. Safely analyzing the handling of these artifacts requires strict radiological pathology and containment physics, independent of historical romanticism. The anomalous plasma powering these emitters originated with the extraction of light from two biphasic luminescent arbor anomalies recorded as the two trees. The initial extraction and containment process was engineered by the apex-level entity designated Feanor. This diagram illustrates Feanor's primary containment vessel, an unbreakable crystalline matrix engineered from a synthetic substance known as silima. The silima matrix transmits visible light wavelengths while simultaneously absorbing and shielding the user from the plasma's lethal thermal radiation. The matrix contains a catastrophic biological security protocol. Hallowed by the entity Varda, the surface actively rejects unauthorized or impure biological signatures. When an unauthorized entity breaches the physical perimeter, the silima matrix immediately ceases its protective shielding function and weaponizes its thermal output against the intruder. We begin our autopsy with the first major containment breach, the theft of the emitters from the Formenos vault by the subject designated Morgoth. Upon escaping the vault, the subject made direct, unprotected physical contact with the unshielded anomalies. Analytical. This document models the immediate biological failure of the subject's epidermal and subdermal layers. The pathology indicates extreme thermal burns, triggering permanent and aggressive necrotizing fasciitis across the contact area. The radiation completely and permanently compromised the subject's cellular regeneration capabilities, despite his massive inherent physiological power. The final physical assessment notes that the subject's hands were reduced to blackened, smoldering charcoal. The data proves that even apex-level biological entities are incapable of surviving direct dermal contact with the unshielded plasma core. The permanent destruction of his hands forced the subject to engineer an emergency response for the transportation of the cores. This schematic identifies the artifact known as the Iron Crown as a specialized heavy metal containment collar. To avoid further direct biological handling, thick iron claws were used to bolt the emitters directly into the collar structure. This improvised system inflicted a severe physical toll. The collar functioned as a massive burden of heavy metal, subjecting the wearer's cranium to constant localized extreme heat. The system was structurally unsound. During a later physical altercation, a fractured blade knocked one of the cores loose, causing it to strike and severely burn the subject's cheek. Crude metallurgical shielding merely delays inevitable radiological degradation rather than providing a safe containment solution. We now shift focus to a secondary perimeter breach involving a massive bioengineered lupine entity designated Subject Karkarathoth. In this event, the subject bypassed external dermal contact and ingested the anomaly whole, swallowing it alongside the severed appendage of an intruder. There is a severe physical distinction between external exposure and the internal ingestion of a Class V plasma core. The internal reaction is an extreme, unstoppable thermal runaway. Forensic analysis indicates the flash boiling of the subject's internal fluids and the complete liquefaction of its vital organs into biological slag. This trauma triggered a secondary behavioral effect, severe radiation-induced mania that caused the subject to rampage through populated zones while burning alive from the inside out. Upon the entity's termination, the anomaly was recovered from its charred remains, resting intact within the undigested severed hand. Biological ingestion of the anomaly bypasses all natural epidermal defenses, resulting in a self-contained, rapidly fatal nuclear meltdown. Beyond physical thermal damage, the anomaly emits a secondary invisible threat vector. Directing attention, This EEG readout tracks the presence of a highly contagious, localized mimetic cognitohazard field. Prolonged proximity to this field results in the total overriding of higher executive function, logic, and empathy. Forensic analyses identifies the historical Oath of Feanor as the primary outbreak of a terminal mimetic infection. This cognitive infection induced violent, hyper-aggressive territoriality and deep paranoia across previously stable populations. We can correlate this psychological radiation directly to the systemic irrational slaughter documented in the 3 Elven kinslangs. The anomaly functions as a dual lethal threat. It incinerates unauthorized matter physically, while simultaneously incinerating authorized minds psychologically. Following the fall of Angband, authorities conducted a final post-war threat assessment of the 2 remaining recovered anomalies. The surviving infected subjects, Maedhros and Maglor, experienced immediate thermal rejection and severe contact burns upon attempting to handle the cores. The authorities reached a grim containment consensus. Safe biological or metallurgical storage is physically impossible. Consequently, the remaining 2 cores were slated for a terminal disposal protocol. The first core was deposited into a deep tectonic fissure within the Earth, a highly dense and inaccessible environmental sink. The second core was deposited into abyssal oceanic trench, using millions of tons of seawater as a permanent radiation baffle. True containment of a Class 5 anomaly involves burying the hazard so deep that its toxic emissions can never infect the surface world again.